Hades is a 20 roguelike video game that was in some kind of early access for a while, much like its sequel, that has received pretty favorable reviews, and for very good reason. Now, I'm going to tell you folks a little secret before we get started. Getting close.
Little closer. Little closer.
Hey, back up a bit. Personal space. Okay. Hades kind of bangs. It is a phenomenal game and by far one of my favorites, just ever. It is a game with an incredible amount of passion and love behind it, as well as the expertise of great developers to make it all click, mostly. Everything from the visuals, to the music, to the voice acting, to the surprisingly compelling relationship system managed to make Hades an experience that's honestly very worthwhile, even if one isn't normally into roguelikes. The game only has so many bosses, but thrives in its roguelike nature, as the main thing that progresses with every run is the story. Don't get me wrong, you can make some rather silly-billy builds, but as always, I am enthralled by stories, and this game has that in droves. Speaking of story, Hades, the game not the place, takes place in Hades, the place not the god, as you play as Zagreus, the son of Hades, the god not the musical, trying to break free of Hades, the place not the god. Your father is obviously quite displeased with your silly little plans, and his lieutenants, and your dog, have been laid out before you to stop you as you fight your way through the destitute corridors of Tartarus all the way up to the gentle plains of Elysium and beyond. Along the way, your relatives, the other Greek gods, and a certain some they, provide you with boons to aid your escape from your infernal prison. Boons are these powerful bonuses and augmentations to your abilities and weapons that can totally change the way you play the game as you ascend. Some better, and some, honestly, still pretty good. These are all very well done and are generally quite well balanced. Speaking of playing games, Hades' gameplay is a mix of fast-paced and sometimes cautious positioning, with an emphasis, obviously, on not getting hit. Everybody here wants to punch your skull in, but some more or less than others. You have a choice between the following weapons when you play, though each has a number of different variants inspired by history and mythology alike. They are as follows. Big Slashy Chop Sword, which is a relatively balanced weapon and hits well while letting you move more freely and quickly to beat people to death. Again. Poke Poke Spear, My Beloved, which lets you hit at range and longer range with decent damage and emphasizes positioning. The Shield, which grants you unparalleled protection in exchange for having one of the more aggressive playstyles in the game and requiring a certain degree of hatred in your heart for everything. The Bow. The boxing gloves that go wham, which are weirdly less aggressive than the shield, but still emphasize rushdowns and pummeling, obviously. There's also the which rewards with. Speaking of the sound design in this game is something else. The music, obviously, which has been playing in the background, but the voice acting and the environmental and enemy sounds as well. The environment feels weirdly desolate, but in a really relaxing way, which I suppose is fitting for the underworld, though it's also populated by so many folks that it's exceptionally endearing. It's not a hollow desolation, it's a gentle one. And the folks, oh, the folks. The designs of the characters are some of the best I've seen in a game, or just any piece of media, really communicating a lot of the person's vibes off the bat. I also think it's really silly how big Hades, the god not the place, is in comparison to others. It makes me go hee hee. What's more is that the characters have these compelling stories lifted from mythology initially, but then altered in a phenomenal way and expanded upon to make the folks pop out of this already vibrant game and story. Everybody's got a certain vibe, some more than others, and yet they manage to go beyond their archetypal stereotype that you might think of initially when you see them, and it's really, really cool. Even Hades, the god not the place, has a depth to him that's pretty neat, and really leans into the stubborn pride that the Greek gods are known for, among other things. Yeah. There's also a lot of fascinating background information that you can learn about, like whatever's going on with the satyrs. It's so lovingly put together that I honestly can't help but love the game. Every time I come back to it, I find something new to appreciate, and I already love the game. Even beyond the visuals and sound and so on, there's something special about this game. Could it be the people making it? Maybe. Maybe. They've quite the reputation for making games with passion, and I mean, they're making a sequel, which is a rarity for them, so I can only assume their passion for the game exceeds my own adoration of it. In all honesty, I think this game has a certain charm that can only be achieved with a certain amount of love. It just gives this warm and happy feeling when you're playing it. Maybe it's lack of over-monetized this or that, the lack of frantic pandering, or maybe it's the presence of all the stuff in the game instead. But Hades, the game not the god, is fun. Genuinely so. It feels good to play, has a charming atmosphere, and ends up being a game that I wholeheartedly recommend even to those who don't normally find enjoyment in roguelikes. Did I mention it has a fishing minigame?